Hello and welcome to the NanoReach Podcast, a science outreach activity of the Nanomedicine Research Group at ICT Mumbai. I am your host Anushka Chaudhary, a science communicator here at NRG, and joining me today is KamalNayan Tibrewal, an alumnus of NRG, where he worked on his master's thesis under the guidance of Dr. Ratnesh Jain and completed his MTech in Green Technology from ICT Mumbai. After which, he's combined his passion for sustainability and culinary innovation and started his own venture, BioKraft Foods, an up and coming startup that is working on developing cultivated chicken meat through cutting edge technology. So, hello, Kamal, how are you doing?
Hi, Mr. Thanks for the great introduction, and I'm doing well. And looking forward to the exciting podcast.
Great. How was your day been?
So, Dave and Chris, so actually, when it comes to entrepreneurship or starting a startup, so it's not always like you have some committed time or something like that. It's 24 into 7, depending on the
Yes.
work and the that is the work effort that is being required. So it's a 24/7 work. And but usually I commit my day, like I divide into three sections. So usually my first half that I consider as a golden time. That's
Hmm.
usually from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I usually do my major and the most important work during that timeline. And then after 2 p.m. or like after having my lunch, then again some other important works, and then I do my lab work as well during that time mostly till 7 to 8 p.m. And then after that, I like towards my.
Great.
So yeah, so usually like that. But one thing that I in my schedule that I have made it compulsory is to have a good sleep. So I usually
Yeah.
by 10 I'm off to bed.
Hmm. It's really important. And being an entrepreneur, it's never off. You're always
Yeah, so
working.
definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Having the if you want to keep it for a long time, and so you for that it's very important to have practices like that to avoid any kind of burnout. But that's
True.
very common in the entrepreneur journey. So that's what I always undermine to have a good sleep and do some workout as well.
Great. Great. And tell us more about BioKraft Foods. Like, how did you start this venture? Why this mission of sustainability and artificial meat?
So definitely, if you want to know about BioKraft Foods, we have to go back in around 21, 22 during that time when I had just took my admission in my masters, and so after that, we have this guide selection journey. So during
Hmm.
that, like I was fortunate enough to have Dr. Dinesh sir as my guide and mentor. And so after first semester it went very well. All the projects and everything stuff. Then there was a day when me and sir discussed that how we want to take it ahead, because this is something that is very untapped field, and it's a very potential field in the upcoming time, and how to look it for from more of a commercial perspective. So
Hmm.
because nowadays there's this kind of trend going on to use your academic journey to manifest it into a startup or something, like
Yes.
doing your preliminary work in your academic journey itself, because again there's two benefit out of that, because you are getting enough time to do that, and secondly you don't have to give a separate time everything, and there's a more room for the trial and error that is not
Yes.
available once you enter into this kind of field.
Yes.
So that's how we decided back in 2022, and I started my journey from that. So BioKraft Food journey started from there, where we used our 1 year timeline to develop the whole proof of concept that was required for our work. So yeah, I used my master's journey for that, and as my master got completed, then we incorporated BioKraft Foods in a legal entity, and was started our journey formally into that. So now it's been 6 months since the incorporation, and it's going really well. Because one thing that I'm very clear about in India or with the back, we are doing very great in terms of my other competitors,
Hmm.
because we are less than a year old startup, and whatever we have achieved till now, that's very important and that's very relevant when we compare to other startups or other companies who had incorporated back in 2015 or 16. So even after 7 to 8 years, that much time to them, we would be taking a less year time as compared to them.
That's great. So, what was your research topic during your master's that led to the formation of BioKraft Foods?
So it was completely based on that only because so if we formally ask the research topic was cultivated chicken meat development and using
Okay.
3D bioprinting technology. But my master's went more into bioing development part where it was complete because that's a more important core component part in my whole thing, the bioing thing that is supporting the whole system. So I used my master's during that time to develop a very novel bioing, and we have actually filed a patent for that.
Oh, great. And so, since starting, it's been 6 months now. Have you increased your team, or is it just you right now?
No, so it's more of a collaborator model right now. So I won't go very deep in that. But yeah, when it comes to full-time founder, like full-time employee, so yeah, I'm the founder, and you can call me the CEO, like Chief Everything Officer right now. And so
Okay.
we have a very strategic approach for that because when it comes to team building, it requires a lot of things and a lot of strategy. You have to do everything strategically, and so we have planned it for January in fact 2024 to start increasing our.
Mhm. And
But yeah,
what?
we have like right now we have a community manager or like more as an intern with us who is handling all of our social media and more of a community relation part. Because right from the product development stage, it's very important to have a customer relation or reach out to customers and build a relation with them. So because
Correct.
that's important right now in my field as well because there's a gap present between the knowledge that is present among the consumers and so we are trying to build that gap using our social media, and we carried out a consumer survey as well for that. And through that, we are right now managing our community around that. So she's
That's
doing really great.
good to hear. And can you tell us a little bit more about how your venture is supporting sustainability?
So right, when you talk about sustainability, again, it's a very broad word because it covers a lot of things. But what I will specifically talk about is how we are, having like developing chicken without a need of chicken actually. So, when it comes to a rearing period or anything, so it takes, more than 2 3 months to rear a chicken and convert them to again, in anything, any other food. So, we see the rearing time, the supply chain that is being composed out of that. And again, then after that, it has to be slaughtered so
Correct.
for the consumption. So in between that process, there is a lot of things happening. Feeding the chicken, growing them, and then again slaughtering them. So there, in terms of sustainability, when you talk about it, there is a lot of carbon emission, then water consumption, then very health concerns around present because whenever there is any virus outbreak in the world, the first impact always occur on the chicken part that they are being
Yes.
slaughtered. Again,
Correct.
if they are not a reason for the virus outbreak, but there is always a conception among people that if they eat chicken during that period, the virus they can also be affected. So that's
Correct.
always a concern around this chicken things also. So yeah, from a broader perspective, we talk about the benefits of cultivated chicken because we are developing it in the in a very limited scale or like in a lab environment where it requires a 99% less land requirement. Then again, in terms of carbon gas emission or carbon emission, that's very pretty low, and like it's not even comparable. And then again, from the land resources, nutrient need, and everything, from that perspective also, there's a very less need. And that's the future of the meat consumption in the coming time, having a more sustainable option.
Yes, very true. Innovative things you're working on over here. Hopefully, in the near future, this would be the
Yeah.
norm.
Right. So yeah, because when it comes to food, it's more of a emotional people. So how
Yes.
can you emotionally connect your product to the consumers is the main ask. So it's more of a go-to-market strategy. But how are you able to position your product among the consumers? Because they do understand that there is a need of sustainable option, but again, they don't want to compromise with their value. Because if you want to change someone's food behavior, that's the most unacceptable part to anyone. So they
Yes.
don't want to change. You
It's a part of
can
their
you can give a
culture.
better, yeah, you can give a better more of a better alternative, better food to them. But again, then it should be the same realistic solution like
Yes.
the previous
Very true. People are very hard to change when it comes to eating habits.
one. Right. So because that's the thing, if you ask any non-core, like a non-core, if a poor non-vegetarian,
Mm.
so they are very much addictive, or not. I will not use addictive, but they enjoy their food when it
Mm.
comes to non-vegetarian
Yeah, they're very
because
particular about their
they are very particular.
choices.
They are very particular about their choices. So that's why if you want to bring a change, you have to bring the most realistic and relatable solution to the convention, and that's what we are doing. We are not making some different segment or the different product. We want to keep it as close as possible to the convention.
Good to hear. How did the research exposure during your masters and your academic experience help you when you started your venture? Did you have any exposure to any entrepreneurs? Did you interact with a few before you started your own journey?
So definitely, when I talk about starting my journey, so during my academic period, so it was more of a research work in the first year. But once we had this in our mind that we want to take it more of a commercial perspective, from that day onwards, like we started looking in that direction. So when it comes to my research work, so I used my academic period very really well to develop the required thing, the required proof of concept for that. And that gives an edge to me as well. So, having a strong technical background, because
Yes.
many times it happens with many startup founders as well, not having the technical or the practical exposure to them is a negative aspect for them, because again, then they have to be kind of dependent on others or for small things, or to carry out any uh, innovative work or understanding any technical aspects. So having a technical knowledge is important, very much important. But again, with the technical knowledge, you should have a business mindset as well on the other side as well. So because I was already into this kind of field, so from I think from my first year itself, I had already built that kind of connections with the smart coding people, like people in this kind of field. Even GFI India was doing really great in terms of this. Okay, so from this second year itself, I started working on this and was more focused on what's happening in the smart coding landscape. And there's this organization called GFI India, so they have very good resources available, and they're kind of a flag bearer in this kind of field. So I got a lot of learning from them, and thanks to them, I'm very much active on LinkedIn as well. So I started posting, started talking to people like who were in this field and understanding this whole landscape. And so being in that kind of field helped me a lot, because when I started my startup, it doesn't feel new, this field,
Hmm.
because I was knowing everything about this
Yes.
from the beginning itself. So it kind of helped. It was just positioning yourself in the market, because people were knowing about you.
They already know about it. Yes.
Yeah, they already knew me, and so it's every day there's something new, and I get to meet a lot of new people and a lot of new innovators who are working in this field. So it's really going great. So but having a domain knowledge is very important. If you don't have that domain knowledge, then you have to be dependent on someone else for this thing, because even if someday I expand my team and like I distribute the work, but if at some point someone leaves or some misfortune happens, then again I don't have to be dependent on like someone for that work, because I was already exposed to that. I knew no one knew better than me, because I am
Correct.
practically working on that.
Correct. That's really great advice because these days you see people are excited about entrepreneurship, but they don't realize how much work actually goes into it.
Actually, the biggest aspect what someone needs to learn is how to sell yourself, because that's the most relevant thing that will come handy in your whole life. If in any time you would be selling yourself to someone, like if whether it's an interview, whether it's, you are in some other venture or something, but there is always a point where you are kind of branding yourself, or you have to sell that, yeah, you are competent enough and you are capable enough to do this kind of work. So that's a skill that everyone should learn, because even if you're good at especially for academic people, if you are good at research as well, So yeah, definitely they can give you a technical background. They can make you a good scientist or an analyst. But again, life is not limited to that because
Yes.
you have you have to need to have some business domain expertise or some exposure to that because
Yes.
that's the need.
Hmm. You have to carve out a niche for yourself or a personal
Yeah,
brand. Hmm.
personal branding is very much important. I believe so because even if you're doing some work right now, if you're doing some project, like tell people about that. You have to you have to tell it 10 other people.
Hmm.
Otherwise, how will they know that you are doing this
Yes.
thing?
That's how the word gets
Because again,
around. Hmm.
yeah, because even you take a PhD journey, it's a 5 year journey. So just imagine if you start working from the day one itself on yourself and building a personal brand around of your like personal image of yourself. So you know how much that will helpful will be like after once you graduate or passed out. So people will know that yeah you have this expertise, you know about this. So maybe
Correct.
they want to take it, make it come on board in their own field.
Hmm.
So
That's
that's
really,
really important.
yes, because people usually wait until the last moment to start doing
Yeah.
that. But doing that from day one will help you establish a brand
Yeah.
for yourself.
And now every other field is competitive, so you have to do some personal branding. So
Yes.
it's not like just having some domain knowledge or technical knowledge will be relevant. You need to have some selling skills as well.
Yes. You need to have something that sets you apart and
Right.
you need to sell that to people.
Yes, yes, yes. You have to be specialized, in some field so that you
Hmm.
can differentiate yourself.
Correct. Uh, so, since starting your venture, what are some of the challenges that you have faced?
Every day is a new challenge. So there is no specific challenge. You will like, you know, but when you start your startup, bringing something, positioning everything is very important. And since when it comes to myself, so I'm very good at administrative and technical work. But when it comes to legal and financial perspective, so you have to uh, look for some people to help you in that case. And there's always a challenge, everyday challenge, because right now also there will be some documents that are stuck to be approved or then when it comes to startup, there are a lot of shareholders as well. There are directors as well. So every day you have to deal with something new or other. But one thing that I will like to mention is that initially when we were going to file our patent, so at that time I had to deal with two or three different IP lawyers
Hmm.
because to file our IP. But
Correct.
it consumed 2 to 3 months of my time, and the work was not done because of some or the other, because of problem from their end. So one day it was so kind of frustrating because the time is very much important. The time that has gone, the 3 months, and the work was not done. So then I took that work upon myself and I did it, and I think I did well in that case. So I filed my IP on my own, and the
That's
benefit was that I was able to save a couple of bucks on that.
it's amazing to hear. In the end, it is you have to take initiative to get things done.
Yes, so yeah, because you have to, the things should be keep going. You can't be stuck at one point.
Yes,
And
correct.
so getting dependent on someone is very tough task. And so, but again, if you feel like this, that you can do everything on your own, is also not a very positive thing because
Yes,
yeah, you can be good at everything, but you don't need to do every stuff. You need to segregate because
yes,
if you start doing by everything by yourself, then there will be a point where very important matters will start getting delayed, and you will be involved in some non-essential matters. So
yes.
segregating work is also very much important.
You need to learn to delegate some of the unimportant tasks and collaborate with people.
And and I think the biggest example, I think the biggest inspiration we can take it from the minister itself.
Yes,
Segregating the work, doing
correct,
what's important.
correct. So, how has
Yeah.
this journey been with Sir? Him being your mentor during this whole startup journey?
Definitely, I think the biggest, the blessing or biggest credibility in terms of starting my entrepreneur journey, I think the biggest credit goes to Sir itself because this is something I believe is that if someone believes in you more than yourself,
Yes,
then you should try your should you give your best in proving him right because that's something because many people, always lack because I think everyone wants a opportunity sometime in their life. That yeah, like there should be one person who supports you to a maximum extent, and that I was I was very lucky enough in that sense that I got a very good mentor in sir, and we are doing great like as a team. So because the amount of resources and amount of platform that I got from sir is really appreciable, and I'm very much looking forward to prove him right, to have that faith in me.
It's very good to hear. And all of us at NRG wish you the very best in this journey and in proving him right. So,
Thank you. And even, around, I would like to thank Energy also, like, supporting at every step itself, because when it comes to my master, there is a lot of people that, I need to thank you, because it was having supportive seniors is also very important.
very
That
true.
supports you very long. So yeah, I was lucky in that terms too.
Great. What has been a happiest moment of the startup journey so far? Like any memorable moment that you would like to mention?
I think my the happiest journey is yet to come. Most probably in 2024, because that will be the most happiest moment, because that I'm waiting for, and I will keep it a secret what I'm
Okay.
waiting for. But definitely, if you talk about a happiest moment, starting your own startup was I think the one of the most memorable moment, because it was since bachelor that I wanted to do something of my own. So I belong from a business background. So, and even a Marwadi background. So we have a business in our blood, what we call as in our culture. So
Right.
it's just always like even if you start up with a job, also you will day will come that when you will pivot back to business. So
Correct.
having my own startup was I think the most memorable moment, because that's the day I was waiting for.
Mhm. Very good. And we will stay tuned for the happiest moment that is going to come in 2024. We're all excited for it.
Definitely, because whenever it will come, it will, I think, create a spark in India itself. So you
So
will definitely get to.
we'll all be tuned for that. So, to heading towards the end of the podcast, are there any other interests or hobbies that you're passionate about? Given the
Yeah.
extent of your work, I don't think you do get a lot of time for it, but anything that you do other than BioKraft.
So I think my most of my day go through in that itself. But some other thing if I talk about is looking for some other innovative thing that is happening in the world. I like to stay connected with the world affairs, what's happening, and even like talking with new people, exchanging ideas. Even doing the global bio also. Uh, it was very great to know what other people were doing really, and what impactful work they are doing, and so it's something exchange of ideas. Even I am part of various ecosystems as well, various where we do random meetups, like meetups with different founders who are doing the work. So I think yeah, uh, getting into a meeting with strange people, or that I don't know about, but again
Mhm.
hearing about their work and knowing about them, and through that we get acquainted as well for the
Yeah.
future journey. I think that's something interesting, because networking is the key right now.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't matter in whatever field you are. You should network as much as possible, build networks, and like if you are targeting for something like even from 3 to 4 years right from now, start working from today itself. Like connect with the relevant persons, because they can give you a very important inputs. You know, uh, to you translate your work into something meaningful or something commercial, because that's important, translational work. If you're doing some project, it should have a very good translational work.
Yeah, that's very true and very great advice for anyone who's interested in starting their or great advice for anyone in general. Networking, I think, is important in all fields. Very true.
Because I know there are sometimes that people will say that you're introvert, like people consider themselves introvert, and how should they start. But I think just start, like
Yes.
start talking to people, you and in the by the time of the year you will get useful to that. Even
Yes.
I think I can tell an interesting story. So
Mm-hmm.
I connected with one of very important person, like I'm connected to him, but I met him at an ice cream shop, and
Oh,
that too in the Matunga itself. So we just we were I was with my group, and he came with his family, and we were just having some ice cream, and through that we connected, and so that worked for me as really well. So you never know
You
where you
never know.
can go to, where you can get really meaningful connections.
That's very, and it is a skill that has to be developed. So over time, you get better at it.
Definitely,
Yeah.
you have to get better. You have to. But that's one of the important skills you need to.
Very true. And lastly, since you mentioned that this has been a dream of yours to start your own venture, so now that you have and you're 6 months into it, is there something you would like to tell yourself before starting this journey, or the Kamal before masters? Any message for him?
I think Kamal during the masters was really oriented, focus oriented what we wanted to do, and is really doing that. But I can, if I take a couple of years back during my bachelor's, I think at that time I made some bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could have utilized my bachelor's time into for more meaningful work, and even that depends on the ecosystem as well. So this was a person who passed away last week itself. He used to say this: if you are getting an average, getting an average degree, but a good college is better than getting a good degree and an average college. So because the
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem that really matters,
That's
and
very true.
what ecosystem you are entering. I think it gave me that kind of ecosystem,
Mhm.
but and that I lacked during my bachelor's. So I think if I could have get that kind of ecosystem during my bachelor itself, so maybe I could have done more better or things more early. But again, it's always time and things so when it should happen. But again,
Yes.
I think I am doing great in that.
Yeah. Also, that ends in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And very true. It is important that the people that we surround ourselves with do impact the way we work and our future.
definitely, definitely. So that matter ecosystem does matters, and if you are in a premier institute, a reputed institute, its ecosystem and both its name does matter.
Yes, very true. Any concluding remarks for our listeners? Any
I
advice for
think
someone who wants to start their own journey? Yeah.
maybe I can give advice to my juniors as well. So there's always this thing that everyone wants to get into a job into an MNC, and in a good system, and it doesn't, it's not in a negative aspect. Yeah, everyone wants a good life. But again, if you have time and you are in that age criteria where you can take risk, I think I will advise take risk, because again, when you come to job scenario as well. So yeah, definitely the growth is there, but again, the time that you always should take your decisions, and you take opportunity based on the return on the time invested. It's more like a ROTI,
Hmm.
the amount of time you are investing and the return you'll be getting after that. So I think that everyone should take consideration, even if you are doing a PhD as well. So definitely, PhD is a very relevant degree, and it's a more of a a lifetime experience. But again, you have to see the amount of time that you are investing and the return that you are expecting out of that, because time is very much important in any sense. The amount of time you are investing into something. So that's what I think, and that's why I am more into this, because I was willing to take that kind of risk, because whatever my personal aspect is or my personal aspirations is, as well as where I want to see myself, like even after 5 to 10 years, I think from that perspective, I was willing to invest this time and that kind of risk.
It's very interesting to hear. And speaking of, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Where do you see BioKraft going?
Definitely, BioKraft Foods. I see BioKraft Foods on the global image, where it's competing with the most competitors that are right now present, and being the one of the most innovative and sustainable food company. Because I rather than just launching, it's more like how well you are making a BioKraft Foods a part of consumers, part of people. So it's like, yes, everyone one should know about BioKraft Foods. Everyone should know what work we are doing. And at least they should have that kind of knowledge and like preference that they want to have BioKraft Foods with them. So I think, and majorly when we are focusing on even the net zero or the circular economy as well. So I want to place BioKraft Foods on the global map where it's helping in achieving that kind of targets. Net zero sustainability or the circular
Yes.
economy, because that's important when it comes to food. Considering cultivated meat is very important because that will help you in any country, even India, in meeting their targets.
It's very true. So everyone from NRG wishes you all the best. We hope or we believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, BioKraft would be an internationally known brand. All the very best for your journey ahead, and thank you for being on the podcast.
Definitely, and thank you. And even I'm looking forward to look forward to some more exciting works from energy, because that's one thing that energy is doing really well, working on innovative things and making it transformational. I personally have very high hopes from energy. So
Thank
I
you.
really wish very best of luck to even sir and ma'am for the work they are doing and to keep it going on.
Thank you so much, Kamal. It was great talking to you today.
Thank you, Anushka. Thank you for your time as well and conducting this awesome podcast.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the NanoReach Podcast. If you like this episode, please share it with your peers and subscribe to the Nanomedicine Research Group on YouTube and Spotify for more such episodes. Follow us on Instagram at nrg_ICT Mumbai for regular updates. Thank you.